Hey guys, it's a ZM update video. Not gonna waste your time, so let's rock.
Hello YouTubers, Zeltrax Millennium here. This is kind of a bit of a weird one because I normally don't do videos like this. But yeah, as I discovered last night, Twitter seems to have removed the Moments Maker, which means I can't go into my moments the way I normally do, i.e. the miniatures moment that I made, which sucks. But thankfully, I've bookmarked the moment so that way I can go back into it and edit it whenever I paint a new Heroes of the Grid miniature, which this is the subject of today's video, where I go through every single miniature that I've painted for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. And I tag Renegade Games so much in them that they actually love when I paint my miniatures. Heck, they even wanted to see one of my miniatures, which we will actually see later in this video. It's going to be a long one. I apologize. It's just I wanted to make this video when I found out that the whole thing regarding the Twitter Moments thing was gone. And I was kind of angry, but there you go. So, after I take a swig of my coffee, let us go through all of my miniatures. First up, starting with the bird brains that will not stop squawking. The Tango Warriors. Now, this was one of the first miniatures that I've ever painted, and I was just so excited when I got my first big batch of the Heroes of the Grid stuff when I first backed it, that I had to start on one miniature, and it's like, why not start on the Tangas? So what I did was that I did um a base coat of like a dark blue, then sprayed on a translucent purple, then dry brushed a lighter purple onto that, and then did a the normal colors that the Tangas normally go for. I used to do my bases in a um gunmetal lead belcher from Citadel, but I've started to use the Fang a lot more, which I really do like, and I do apologize for the quality of some of these images. They were with my old track phone camera, but thankfully I have a better camera on my my Samsung to make taking photos a heck of a lot easier and a lot better looking. But yeah, here is the Tango Warrior. Now, obviously, some of these first images I took multiple passes of. One's with the flash, one without, and this. Let me just get through the Tango real fast. Here are a few of the putty patrollers that I did. I did a normal one, I did a Z putty, and I also did a super putty, which this was actually really interesting for me to do. I might go back on the super putty and dry brush on some of the gray that I used on the other putty, the original putty, just so that way I can make it more uniform because I first I I thought some weird things at the time. But yeah, I really did like the look I did on these putties, especially the Z putty. I like how I used the Avignon Blue Metallic from Duplicolor, which is a automotive paint, which is perfect for miniatures like this. I tried to replicate the old blow apart Z putty toys from Mighty Morphin. I still have one of them back upstairs, but yeah, there's that one. I also did a Mastodon Sentry in the alternate colors from the Battle for the Grid game, where he's all gray instead of the white, and with all these red lines on him. I wish I took another photo of this one. I'll have to do that one of these days. But yeah, I also painted up Lord Zed due to Ron Wasserman's passing. Not Ron Wasserman. What the hell am I thinking? Robert Axelrod. So many people I know these days. But yeah, I worked on Zed from the game, and I did this to celebrate Robert Axelrod. And I even loved it so much that I even did a pose with my Lightning Collection Lord Zed holding his miniature. They're practically in the same pose. But yeah, here's another shot of some of the other miniatures that I've done. Here's actually a better shot of the Mastodon Sentry right there. I think I used the Fang when I painted this one. I don't exactly remember. It's been a while since I painted all these. But yeah, here's Goldar, and I love what I did on Goldar. So the thing I did on Goldar is that I didn't have like a hand paint to replicate all of this goldish yellow. So what I did was I did a base coat of Sunburst Gold Metallic, and then I used Duplicolor Metal Cast Yellow to make it a yellowish gold. And I think that worked out very handsomely on Goldar. I do need to fix the look of the teeth though, because they just when I look at it now, it's just I need to do some stuff better with my miniatures. And then of course I did Robogoat, Evil Green Ranger in a dark metallic green. You can actually see it better in this shot. And Scorpina. Yeah, I still can't really paint faces all that well, so my apologies for Scorpina and a couple of the other human characters not looking too great. But I will probably go back on Scorpina and paint on her eyebrows, maybe try to paint in some eyes and maybe some lips. If you're wondering what that watering can is, that's when I was custom painting Curio from Dino Charge for a friend of mine. And of course, Armored Red Ranger. I wanted to do him in a metallic red, so I did that along with painting the Morpher in I think the paint I used was Retributor armor from Citadel. I might switch over to a different paint like Army Painter because Citadel's not been doing too great in terms of indie shops. But I also painted the Power Coin highlighter gold. And the main gold that I used on the shield, I believe, was Krylon Gold Leaf. Yeah, I believe that's what it was. And of course, Alpha. I mixed up a custom craft paint that looked like the floor of the command center because that's just what seemed appropriate for Alpha, you know. So I based Alpha in Avignon, not Avignon, medium Wedgwood metallic. Then I did the base coat of purple and then a blue, just to give it the look of those blue panels that he's got on him. And then I painted a different Alpha, and I painted the Alpha from the Legendary Rangers Forever Rangers pack differently than this, so you'll see him later on. And of course, Mighty Morphin White, rest in peace, Jason David Frank. I did him in a normal paint job. I didn't do metallic armor until later with the Legendary Tommy pack. But yeah, I'm really happy with how White turned out. I might go back and edge up some of the black on him. I was a little hasty with this one, honestly. And then of course the Bulk and Skull Rangers. I tried to do this as cleanly as I could with the metallic orange and then the metallic purple. I might go back and fix the line around the trousers there, but overall the entire thing, both of these things look really good. And then of course there's me holding the Mega Goldar miniature because holy crud, this thing is huge. Yeah, that's my custom Lotor Syncline mecha from Legendary Defender. I used a Girada. I used a Gir. Yeah, I used the model kit from Build Divers to make this one because it kind of looked the part. Yeah, there's Mega Goldar all painted up. I wanted to do something where it was still the same paint job that I did on normal Goldar, like the Sunburst Gold Metallic and the Avignon, not the Avignon. I keep saying Avignon a lot. I did the same Sunburst Gold and the Middlecast Yellow, but I wanted to do something where it would look like his armor was speckled with dirt and such when he grew giant sized. And I thought that was like a really neat idea, so I did that for his updated miniature. And then of course I painted in all of the the lining on his sword where it had like words on it. I think that was trying to reference the Grifforzer on the original sword, I believe. Don't quote me on that though. Yeah, and of course my favorite, Pudgy Pig. I love painting Pudgy Pig so much. Sorry for jumping around a lot. I just love this miniature so much. I weathered him up to the nines. I might go back and do some lighter passes on him. But yeah, I loved painting Pudgy Pig. And of course, Nasty Knight and Wizard of Deception. I wanted to do Wizard of Deception in medium Wedgwood metallic and then painted his hair a dark brown because trying to paint black on black, it just seems like a pain in the butt. So I did that. I gave his little wand a bit of a brown wash. I should have put like a wash on the shield for Nasty Knight though. Might go back and touch that up. And of course the big one, Cyclopsis. Yeah, I took a while to do the Megazord because I didn't know what I wanted to do on that one. So I custom mixed a color for Cyclopsis because Some of it looked like a purplish silver, kind of like the purplish armor on Commander Geo. So I did that. I panel-lined a lot of it with some washes and stuff. I love how I did Cyclopsis. Here we go. Here we're getting into the Hyperforce stuff. So this is the first Hyperforce Ranger that I ever did of Hyperforce Blue. I showed this to Andre, and he absolutely loved it when I posted about it on Twitter. Let's see, normal Mighty Morphin Black and Ranger Slayer. I loved what I did on Ranger Slayer, like painting on the metallic pink on her shoulder pad, and then the little cover thing that she has on her left arm for her Bow of Darkness. And then, of course, for Mighty Morphin Black, I just kept him the same plastic color as his miniature, and then I just hand painted on everything else. I just thought that was easier for me, at least. Let's see. Oh, I had to do a image of this, so that way I can easily get a look of the bands that are on her thighs for the little pink pads on her legs. I also had to do that for the Blade Blaster as well. And of course, Zeo Gold. He's not going to be a stranger to this thing. I can tell you that much. But yeah, I loved how I painted Zeo Gold. I did the same sort of thing I did on Goldar. Sunburst Gold Metallic, yellow metal cast, and then I weathered the insides of the circuit patterns on his suit, and then I had to hand paint on all the black, which was a pain in the butt. You're going to see that later with another miniature. Then of course Hyperforce Pink with her little scythe and her morpher. I love the thing I did with the morpher. I used a color shift paint on the handle of her scythe and her morpher. I did that. I think I did that on all the Hyperforce Rangers, if I remember correctly. But yeah, kept the plastic the same, and then I just hand painted on the black and everything, which I'm really happy with how all these miniatures turned out. I did a normal Mastodon Sentry, Rhino Blaster, and Bones. I really wanted to make Bones look like he was like decaying, weathered bones, which required a lot of orange and brown washes. It just looked really nice. I also tried to replicate concept art, because the thing I do with my miniatures is that I try to look for the concept art of a monster or a ranger and try to follow that to the letter as best I can, while also mixing in stuff from the show. And I just like doing that for my miniatures, at least. And then, of course, the Black Dragon and Draken, which bit of a funny story regarding Draken here. And there's my little there's a cameo from my dog Moose, rest in peace. When I was painting Draken, I've dropped him and his left arm snapped off. And so I was like, oh god, what the heck am I going to do to fix this? And then I found some JB Weld epoxy that I was able to use to glue the arm back on, so I was able to fix that. And that actually helped me out with painting the gold band on his left arm. So that actually worked out in my favor, believe it or not. Which was all sorts of nuts. I should have painted those little orbs on the back of Black Dragon, which sucks. But yeah, Master Vile. I loved painting all of the different gold areas on him. That just looked so nice. I need to see if there's like any... I need to find some concept art of Master Vile so I can go back and see if I missed anything. Paluticorn. He was very light metallic bluish in the Sentai footage, now that I remember correctly. There's that. Commander Crayfish. It was so hard to try and get a lobster texture on this guy. It was not even funny. Then Hyperforce Black. Love Christina V. I did make the red lines on her suit a little bit bolder, which was a bit of a pain in the butt. I might do that on the second one. Yeah, I got an extra Shattered Grid box, so that's how I did one miniature that we're going to be seeing later, along with the Time Force Pink that I'm doing in the color scheme of her alternate colors in Battle for the Grid. There's going to be a lot of Battle for the Grid references in here. And I might do the Hyperforce Rangers in a metallic. Not too sure. Ask about that in the comments below. And then, of course, Spinster. Let me zoom in on him. I love how I did Finster. I painted in all of his little tools and stuff on his little pouch there. I also weathered in his face because he's an old character. And of course, Pumpkin Wrapper. I was not expecting Pumpkin Wrapper to be in here. I painted in all the vines on him in different colors, and that was actually the first time when I got the orange wash for him. So I just made him look all weathered, and it just looks so nice. And of course, Guy, and I'm gonna have to do this on the Lightning Collection figure next chance I get. But I had to paint in every single eyeball on this guy. I do not envy the guy who had to paint the eyeballs on the Lightning Collection figure at all, because this was a pain in the butt. And I painted the eyes individually a different color of brown and a slightly reddish red, and slightly reddish brown. So it'll all be like different eye colors. It was a pain in the butt. I wish I didn't do it, but I did it anyway because I am just that extra. Okay, so back. Primator. I should have done a better job with painting the blue on him. This one looked a little messy to me. And of course, Lauren. And of course, the first Lauren that I painted her in I think I painted her in a metallic red. I think so. Anyway, I also hand painted on the super coat that she has on her, along with the Inomaru black box, and of course Hyperforce yellow. Yeah, some of these I took a picture of when I was eating lunch with my buddy Ross. Time Force pink. Time Force pink turned out very darn well. It was hard to paint her V5 cannon. So hard to paint that thing. But yeah, this is an image of me doing the base coat on the Megazord. I did him in a metallic black just to start it, and you're gonna see some more images of him later on. And yeah, here is the warrior model of Rita next to her normal self. Can you see why I don't paint faces that often? Yeah, I know. I suck. I'm gonna fix it when I get back around to it. I have so many miniatures backed up, it's not even funny. Like, I even have a lot of model kits backed up, it's not even funny. But yeah, Madame Woe was perfectly fine. Ranger Slayer Unmorphed did pretty fine. Again, I can't paint faces all that well, my apologies. And here's Megazord fully finished. I did do some edits on him, wherein I forgot the white lines on the horns and the face. I did forget that, but what I did here with this is I painted the rim of the base all of the Ranger colors, like red, black, blue, yellow, pink, green, stuff like that. And I left the base white because White Ranger and all that. And I also dyed the plastic of the Power Sword in a dark purple, I believe it was. Yeah, I did it in a dark purple, just so that way I can paint the handle without the paint scraping off in the hand of the Megazord. And of course, Hyperforce Red. I should have done a better job with painting the silver lines on the helmet. But yeah, here's the normal Green Ranger. And what I did here was I found a can of Park Green from Tamiya, and I used that as like the base color for Mighty Morphin Green, and that color looked a heck of a lot closer to the actual green on Mighty Morphin Green, so I used that for this. And then of course the Tommy pack that I did White Ranger in a metallic armor, along with using treasure gold for all of the gold on him, as well as everybody else. I didn't do Zeo in metallics because, well, it was the first time I got that menu, so yeah. I also did a metallic green in a metallic armor sense with it's kind of like a fighting spirit version, hence the silver striping on the helmet. I also did Dino Thunder, Turbo, and of course the Robot Tommy from Dimensions in Danger, which I actually did like that episode. I need to work better on the diamonds. And then of course Ninjor. I barely did a thing to him because he was practically perfect. I did not have to paint a whole lot on him. I did paint on the gold and the black though, and the silver. But yeah, Magna Defender. I need to be better with my edging because some of the silver lines on him were not that great. And yeah, remember when I said we weren't going to be done with Zeo Gold yet? Yeah, I took the version of Zeo Gold from Battle for the Grid and painted the second miniature that I got from the Ranger Allies pack into Zeo Gold from the game. And I think I did really darn well with trying to match the design from the game as best I could. Then, of course, Phantom Ranger. I did him I kept the base color of him, but I also put on a coat of clear effects from Duplicolor, which is basically like a clear rainbow spray paint that allows you to put a rainbow effect on the miniature. It works better on black that I've noticed. But yeah, I did that on Phantom Ranger to make it look like he's in between normal form and then him turning invisible. And of course, I did the unhelmeted version of Donkey Kruger, Zeo Zeo Yellow, pretty standard paints that I used on her. Same with Zeo Red. General Vengex, aka Shadowborg. I love when this miniature was unveiled, and Jonathan Ying just kept on making so many darn Beetleborgs references. I just kept laughing. But yeah, I did a lot of neat work on General Vengex here. I loved them, and this was the first time I ever got the D&D paints, which was amazing. Of course, Gaskin and Archerina. I wanted to do metallic paint on them because, well, they're robots and they should be metallic always. It was really hard to it was really interesting to paint Archerina. So I had to try and find her concept art, which was a bit hard to find, but I did find it from a source I do not want to say because I am not fond of the guy at the moment. And I'll leave it at that. And of course, Louis Kaboom, which I found out was voiced by Lex Lang. Which, by the way, Lex, if you're watching, hi. But yeah, it was really interesting to try and paint up Louis Kaboom accurately. But yeah, oh man, King Mondo. I loved painting King Mondo. It wasn't even funny. I painted him in so many different shades of gold all over this thing. It was not even funny. I did Krylon Gold Leaf for the crown, darker. I think it was like a copper for the trim on the bottom of the crown. And if you're wondering where the green is here, because the actual costume didn't use green, that's actually from the concept art. If you look up the concept art of King Mondo from O Ranger, there is actually some green on that little collar piece, and I tried to edge in the blue as best I can. I might actually go back and fix it up. But yeah, I love how King Mondo turned out. I forgot this one. I did Rita Revolto a long time ago, but I didn't do any pictures of him until I realized it after I painted King Mondo. So I did Rita Revolto. I did a half and half where I weathered his one half in a black, and then I painted his other half in a gray. I think, yeah, I believe I did. I believe I did that. And then I tried to stitch on some brown and green and black to make it look like a camouflage pattern. It was my first time doing that sort of thing, so forgive me if it's a little bit messy. Yeah, I'm gonna say this a lot. I love the work I've done in these miniatures. Painting just brings me so much joy sometimes. And of course, Zeo Pink. I did her Zeo Pink Power Shield in a new paint called Zinc, and I did that for the rim of the entire shield, it looks really nice. It looks like it was through a couple of battles and such, and so the metal had worn a bit. On that, yeah. I based Thrax from the one of the other villain packs in a chrome to try and do a chrome effect, but it didn't really work by the time I clear coated it. But thankfully, I was able to save the staff to have it look like metal again. And so I hand painted, and so I finished up Thrax. I kept the muted silver, but I hand painted everything else. I did a dark red paint, then a wash all over that to make it look like the exposed muscle. And then I was very fortunate with the eyes to have those easily painted. And then I did the back. There's not a lot of good reference images for Thrax, which understandable because nobody likes the guy. But I was able to make it look so realistic. I love the way I did on this thing, the work I did on that one. And then of course King Sphinx, which he was not that hard, like at all. In fact, I was able to keep his base model color on this thing. It was so damn easy. But yeah, I did him. He was not that hard. And then of course some Unitorum varnish. I found that out when I was trying to look for a base um, spray paint to keep the base color of the miniature, and also to help make the paint stick a lot better. But yeah, I worked on Piranha's head, which this miniature actually helped me out with the Lightning Collection custom that I did a long time ago, in terms of keeping him accurate. Oh man, I even had to mix up a custom paint for his darker skin too. And then of course I just painted on some red contrast for his eyes. Divatox. What do we talk? Let's talk about Divatox. I did a little better with painting her face, but I think I went a little overboard with weathering her skin. I might go back. I might go back on it and just paint the skin again, just to true everything up and just make it look a little better. I might. I'm definitely going to probably do that later. But yeah, I wanted to do this one really nice. Let's see. Oh yeah, I just misted on random colors on Terror Toad to make it look like his skin was pitted and stuff like that. I wanted to make it look like really neat. And then I hand painted on some greens, some yellows, whites, just to make them look real disgusting. Yeah, I love the work I did. And here's the Forever Rangers pack. I did these in the metallic armor because duh. Now, if only we could get an alternate Blue Ranger miniature so we could complete the set of metallic armor. We don't have another Blue Ranger mini. Get on that, Renegade, please. But yeah, here's the other alpha. I did this one in a different way. I did the metallic blue. I did the metallic blue base, and then I used black contrast to paint in the ribs on his costume. Then I painted the purple on the pads here. Then I used a more yellowish gold for here. And then I just did the whole thing differently from the past alpha. I still kept the base the same from the command center. Zeo green, standard what I did from pink, blue. I haven't done blue yet. Pink, yellow, and red. There's blue. there he is. But yeah, I did both of these at the same time. Then of course Mesogog. I love Mesogog. I love what I did on him. Since there wasn't really a unified concept color guide for Mesogog, I just went nuts and tried what I thought worked. Like I did like a brown base first, then a green base, and then a light black all over the place, just to make them look more blackish brownish green. It's really strange, but I'm really happy about how he turned out. I darkened his eye line around here a bit, just to bring him more closer to the actual model. I really love this. I do hope that when they get around to Mesogog and the Lightning Collection, they actually make him look really nice and really disgusting. Some Transformers miniatures that I did. This was before I got my resin 3D printer. And then of course this is the Dragon Armor Trini that I printed for my own stuff, because I wanted to have a miniature of this character in my Heroes of the Grid stuff, and I of course hand painted it. As you can see here, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I was not expecting to actually see the helmet details of Trini in the head of the miniature, which was very interesting. I also did a Black RX / Masked Rider mini for a friend of mine. I still need to ship that out to him as soon as I can. And of course, I'm starting on the Rise of the Psycho Rangers stuff. And of course, here's a Chrono Ranger from Power Rangers Unworthy. I had to fix the scarf because the scarf didn't print properly. I hand painted the Masked Rider Black RX mini. I had to fix this one recently. So there's that. Hopefully I can figure out how to actually ship a miniature without it breaking on me. And then of course, Chrono Ranger. I tried to start a Tyranno Sentry, but it just did not look right. I'm probably gonna wait until Renegade does something like a Kickstarter campaign for all of the different sentries that we haven't done yet. Then of course the Quantrons. I tried to keep the lines on them as clean as I could, but I painted two I painted 2 Quantrons in both the light gray suit and the black suit, like how you see in the in space footage. And of course, I did a Tronic. I did this one with a Tester's metallic purple for the bodysuit, but I didn't like the way it looked, so I'm probably gonna do it. I did a different one, and it looks a lot better. And of course, Dane from the comics. I loved painting Dane so much. I might dry brush on some lighter grays on his pants to make them look more pronounced and not more dirty, if that makes any sense. I love, love, love the energy whips that I did. I did like a yellow wash on them first, then an orange, and then a red, just to make it look like it was surging with energy. I love it. And then of course, Kia. I did a light blue metallic on her. I need to get a new light blue metallic for another project. But the way I did her cape was with color shift craft paint for the inside of the cape and the outside of the cape to make it look like it was still surging with energy from the blue emissary. And I love how this looked. And then of course, my namesake, my boy Zeltrax. I did him in a base black, and then I used chaos black from D&D for his armor, because it always looked like a dark blue to me in the footage. Not sure why. But yeah, I tried to get as close as I can get to the actual details for Zeltrax, aka the Cursed Armor of Darkness from Abba Ranger. So there's that. I just love this thing. And of course, I did a miniature of the Death Ranger from the recent comic stuff, because the Death Ranger is just awesome. And of course, oh yeah, Darkonda. I did a base coat of yellow from him, from a duplicolor, and then sprayed on some metallic orange and a red, and then I just started hand painting him to hell and back. I used the orange contrast paint for his skin, and then I just hand painted everything. Look at this guy up close. I adore the amount of work I was able to put on this thing. Metallic blue orbs on his head, the new Gundam paints that I used for his black skin and such, and then I dry brushed on some silver rub and buff on the spikes here, and then the chains. It just looks so good. I would love if there was like a Dark Lictor miniature, so I can combine the details of like Ecliptor and Darkonda together from both their miniatures onto that. It just looks so good. I kept his sword yellow just to make it a bit more different looking, and then of course painted the blade silver. Yeah, I love this. I love this one so much. And of course Elsa. She was a lot better in terms of the face, but again, I'm not really used to painting faces. I painted her with a couple of different shades of varying purple paints, and I think she turned out very nicely. And there's this one, Ecliptor. So I did a coat of Hempstead Green Metallic, because I thought that was like a good base color for his green outlines. Then I used a can of Krylon X Metals Green, which was like a translucent green. Still can't believe this thing works several years later. That if you heard that, that is my phone. I did him, and then I hand painted every single bit of black on this thing. Look at this. I hand painted all of the black on this thing. It was a pain in the butt, and I probably didn't do a good job on all the pieces, but I'm still happy with how he turned out. I didn't do the feet because I was already starting to go nuts by the end of it. But yeah, I'm very happy with how Ecliptor turned out. I think I showed images of this to Lex when I tagged them on Twitter with it. Then of course I started In Space Silver and Astronema. I did her in the purplish blue color for her wig. She always wore a lot of wigs. Like, if I ever get in touch with Melody Perkins, I would love to ask her a question. It's like, why were you changing so many wig colors on In Space? What the heck? I also modified In Space Silver a bit because his visor was In Space Red for some reason, so that's wrong. And I started to do Psycho Blue. I painted a copy of Psycho Blue for Wally Wingert, the voice actor for Psycho Blue, and I'm gonna try and ship that back to him as soon as I can. Of course, Blaze and Roxy from Beast Morphers. I love the work I did on both In Space Silver and Titanium Ranger. I kept Titanium Ranger in like the dark silver paint that they did for him because that just seemed closer to titanium to me. So I did that. I did the colored squares on In Space Silver, a dark metallic green, or like a color shift green, because that just seemed closer to me for that with with the circuit details. And I painted the orange on titanium, a metallic orange it's a custom craft paint that I mixed up. And the Solar Ranger. I love the Solar Ranger, but she was also a pain in my butt to try and get the nebula pattern painted correctly. But yeah, I honestly love how she turned out, especially with the nebula pattern. And here's Psycho Blue. All the psychos are painted normally as you would. But yeah, I wanted to paint the psychos in metallic colors when I worked on them. Here's Roxy. I gave a little nod to her robot version by giving her purple capes, which always looked like really good to me. And so I painted her guns in black and silver to obviously paint her guns accurately. But yeah, I love how this one turned out, and especially Blaze as soon as I get to him. Yep, there's Blaze. I got the Gundam paints for the Red for Char Aznable. It was a perfect match to Blaze's color. I was shocked with how good the paint worked for Blaze here. So I'm very happy with how he turned out. I misted on some dark grays and metallics to get the look of his to get the look right for his costume, especially his weapon. And of course, I finished Astronema. Her face is a little better. I might fix her lip later on. But yeah, I just weathered up her silver and everything. I tried to paint the locket as best I could. And yeah, I'm gonna keep getting better with faces. It's just gonna be a pain in the butt. And then of course, Jungle Fury Wolf. I love the fact that David Latour, who played RJ on Jungle Fury, commented on my tweet after I tagged them, because normally when I tag actors in me painting their miniatures, they don't normally respond. But when I did it for David Latour, he absolutely loved the work I did on his miniature. It was really amazing that day. And of course I did the darker purple on the costume, because for some weird reason Jungle Fury Wolf and Geki Violet always use different shades of purple on either his helmet, gloves, and boots, rather than just keep the entire costume one color, like the one color of purple that's the miniature, and it just drove me batty. Also, I would also love to have a miniature set of like the Spirit Rangers. Like, I would love to have like a Jungle Fury set where we could get like maybe the three mains, their master forms, and the Spirit Rangers. That'd be cool. Oh yeah, Dominic, Rhino Ranger. I forgot about him. And here's where I started doing like the alternate colors from Heroes of the Grid, not Heroes of the Grid, a Battle for the Grid on the PS4 for the alternate colors of some of the miniatures. Like I did Lauren in her alternate colors and Ranger Slayer in her alternate colors. It was like a metallic purple. So I started to do them. Then I started on Draken again. I did his damaged look from the comics, which I will probably throw up an image of him on screen here in editing. But yeah, no joke, even Renegade themselves wanted to see damaged Draken and how I would pull it off. So I used a darker metallic contrast, not a darker metallic contrast, a darker color shift green for one half of his shield, and then I just used the normal green to make it look like the entire white half of his costume was just completely damaged from the Imperials in the comics. And of course I added all of the red painting on it to look like it was scarred from trying to heal and stuff like that. I love what I did on Draken here. And then of course the alternate Ranger Slayer. I kept some parts metallic pink just because duh. but the majority of it is metallic purple, and I even did like a metallic red for her visor. I'm gonna say it again. I love the work I did on these minis. It's not even funny. Then of course Lauren, I did her in her alternate colors, like the dark Shinken red coat, which I thought was pretty. It was like it was a neat idea. Let me actually get a drink of my coffee because I've spent a lot of time talking. Continuing on. Here's where we're starting to get to the current stuff. I did Beast Morphers Yellow. This was one of the last miniatures I painted up before I left for Morphicon. And I was actually surprised that they had this miniature have the Beast X King sword that spins around a lot. I was really surprised that they actually included the US exclusive weapons for this. So that was actually really interesting. And of course, normal Mighty Morphin Pink. This is the one I did right before I left for Morphicon, if I remember correctly. And we come to then we come to the most recent stuff. Heximus from the Santa Claus vs. Heximus 2-pack. I had gotten Santa vs. Heximus before, but the 2-pack did not have Heximus in it, which packing like that happens. I didn't raise a big stink about it, but I contacted Renegade. They sent me a replacement. I kind of accidentally did it twice, so I ended up with 2 packs of Santa vs. Heximus. So I painted up one set, and I'm sending that to a friend, and the images you're seeing are from that set from my friend. I did some more work on Heximus that you're going to see in a bit after I send over. There we are. Here is the finished Santa vs. Heximus. I love the work I did on both of these guys. I used the new paints I got from USA Gundam store, where I used the white silver for Santa. Then I used the D&D paints for his beard, and the apothecary white for the fur along the coat and such. And I even got Valhalla Blizzard from Iguana Comics, which is my local comic shop. I got that because I wanted to have Santa's base to look like he was standing on snow. And I love how that worked. I even got a color shift white to use on Heximus. And yeah, I just love the work I've done in these miniatures. And it's just, I've said it before, that painting stuff is one of the things that makes me very happy in life. And to be able to paint these miniatures on a semi-regular basis, because I've had so much things happen to me in recent memory, I have been able to get to work on painting more miniatures from Heroes of the Grid. Especially when I got the Time Force set, then I got the Light and Darkness set, and I've had to get a whole bunch of paints in recent memory in preparation for those sets. It's just been kind of nuts. And yeah, going right back to the Tenga to finish things off. So that is going to be it for me with this video. I hope you guys all liked the little rundown I did of all of the miniatures in my sets. If you have any other questions about how I paint my miniatures, what kind of brushes I use, stuff like that, I use a lot of detail brushes. I just use a whole bunch of different paints to get these things as accurate as I can. Please leave your questions down in the comments below. I would really love to know your thoughts on these miniatures, and just basically, how do you relax after a long day? Like, do you read a book? Do you watch a movie? Do you just paint miniatures or build model kits? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!